Here are the top stories for today, July 8, 2020. Malacanang says it is not alarmed by the sudden increase in confirmed COVID-19 cases in the Philippines. President Duterte thanks the members of the cabinet for their prompt response in assisting locally stranded individuals. The Supreme Court asks Malacanang to comment on petitions to junk the anti-terror law. And Bolinao in Pangasinan reopens its tourist spots to Region 1 residents under quarantine. Good day, I'm William Theo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. Malacanang said the sudden increase in confirmed COVID-19 cases in the Philippines no longer came as a surprise, as it already expects the continuing rise considering that there is still no vaccine or drug to treat people infected with the new coronavirus. The Philippines is now the second country in Southeast Asia with the highest COVID-19 cases after it surpassed Singapore's coronavirus count on Monday. Indonesia continues to top the list of countries in the region with over 60,000 confirmed COVID-19 cases.
Hindi na po nakapagtatakay ang pagtaas ng kaso ng COVID habang wala pa pong bakuna, habang wala pa pong gamot. Sa akin po, wala naman pong dahilan para mabahala habang hindi po namamatay ang tao. Habang meron po tayong kapasidad na magbigay ng medical na lunas sa mga nagkakasakit, hindi ko po matatanggap na tayo po ay hindi nananalo dito sa sakit na ito.
He said the fight against the novel coronavirus would only be successful if people continue to heed government's call to observe strict physical distancing, use of face masks, and regular hand washing. President Duterte has advised Filipinos to strictly follow the conditions imposed for non-essential travels abroad, following the lifting of the suspension of non-essential outbound travel. Under IATF Resolution Number 52, Filipinos traveling on tourist visas need to submit confirmed round-trip tickets before they can be allowed to embark on non-essential outbound travel. Filipino travelers should also submit travel and health insurance to cover rebooking and accommodation expenses. They should also show proof of allowed entry by the destination country in accordance with their travel, health, and quarantine restrictions.
Suspension of non-essential travel by Filipinos is now lifted. All I'm asking is that you obey government, because government is very much interested that you don't get sick, or if you get sick, that you get well.
President Duterte said the Philippines cannot follow other countries' move to completely reopen the economy, saying a total reopening would only place the Philippines in jeopardy. He warned that the country would only suffer because of the possibility on the rise of COVID-19 infections.
Tayo hong pobre, we cannot afford really a total epidemic or pandemonium. Mahirap tayo. Hindi tayo pwede sumugal. Because if we open the entire Philippines and thousands upon thousands of new cases would happen, then we are in deep. Talagang mahirapan tayo. Una-una, wala tayong pera. Now, what really happened in these countries was that although they opened their economy for money to come into the government coffers, ang nangyari is there was a spike. They would have a problem of almost a relapse. Parang relapse in the totality of the number. Iyon ang mahirap.
Health Secretary Francisco Duque announced the community quarantine designations for the following local government units. Cebu is still placed under enhanced community quarantine, while NCR remains under general community quarantine. Let's watch this.
Nilagay po natin ang Cebu City under ECQ dahil po sa malaking pagtaas po ng bagong kaso ng COVID-19 at ang kanila pong noong nagpasya ang IATF at inaprubahan po ninyo, Mr. President, ang case doubling time ng Cebu. Ibig po sabihin ng case doubling time ay napaka-maiksi po ang panahon, mabilis magdoble ang bilang ng mga kaso. Yung mga nakapaloob po sa GCQ or General Community Quarantine ay ang NCR, ang Benguet, ang Cavite, Rizal, Lapu-Lapu City, Mandaue City, Leyte, Ormoc, Southern Leyte, at tatlong lugar po sa Cebu Province, ang Talisay City, ang Minglanilla at Consolacion. The provinces and the regions under MGCQ are the following. For CAR, Cordillera Administrative Region, we have Abra, Baguio City, Ifugao, Kalinga. For Region 1, Ilocos Norte, La Union, Pangasinan. Region 2, we have Cagayan and Isabela. Region 3, Bataan, Bulacan, Nueva Ecija, Pampanga, Angeles City. For Region 4A, meron po tayong Batangas, Laguna, Quezon, Lucena City. For Region 4B, ito po ang Palawan, Puerto Princesa City. Region 6 po, o Region 5 rather, Albay, Camarines Norte, Camarines Sur, Naga City. Region 6, meron po tayong Capiz, Iloilo, Iloilo City, Negros Occidental, and Bacolod City. For Region 7, kasama po rito ang Cebu Province, ang Bohol, at Negros Oriental. Region 8, Tacloban City, Western Samar. Region 9, Zamboanga City, Zamboanga del Sur. Region 10, Bukidnon, Misamis Occidental, Misamis Oriental. Cagayan de Oro. Region 11, Davao del Norte, Davao del Sur, Davao City, Davao de Oro. Region 12 po, kasama ang Cotabato, ang South Cotabato. Region 13 or Caraga, Agusan del Norte, and Butuan City. Samantalang po ang Bangsamoro Autonomous Region of Muslim Mindanao or BARM, kasama po ang Lanao del Sur and Maguindanao. Yung pong susunod na kategorya or classification, risk classification ng MGCQ na lower risk po, the rest of the Philippines.
The government is very careful in ensuring the health and safety of the passengers of the Metro Rail Transit Line 3. MRT-3 operations were temporarily suspended for 5 days starting Tuesday following the increasing number of personnel, including ticket sellers, who have tested positive for COVID-19.
Operations of MRT Line 3 will be temporarily suspended. We are very careful na pati yung those manning, those equipments there will not jeopardize or put you in jeopardy while riding the trains.
Locally stranded individuals or LSIs were able to return home with the help of the government's Hatid Tulong program. Local government units in the province pushes for mandatory testing among LSIs to contain the spread of COVID-19. More on this from Rom Dulfo.
More locally stranded individuals return to their provinces via the Hatid Tulong program. Presidential Management Staff Assistant Secretary Joseph Encabo says there are batches who already reached their home provinces, while the Region 11 batch is close to its drop-off points. Meanwhile, a total of 6,945 residents of Negros Occidental were able to return home, while the province has been placed under various community quarantine levels from March 30 to June 30. Aside from accommodating returning Negrenses who traveled by sea, the provincial government also organized sweeper flights from Manila and Clark. Negros Occidental is placed under Modified General Community Quarantine or MGCQ with strict local action. In Leyte, local government units are pushing for mandatory testing among returning residents to safeguard the health of residents in the province. This after the DOH issued an advisory saying only those with symptoms should undergo swab tests, while those without symptoms will only undergo a 14-day quarantine. Barogo Mayor Marcel Rosario Avestruz said mayors have always a choice to send swab samples to the privately owned Divine Word University Hospital for confirmatory testing if there's a surge of samples at state-owned COVID-19 testing center. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Rom Dulfo.
President Duterte thanked members of his cabinet for their prompt response in assisting locally stranded individuals and sending them back to their respective hometowns. He specifically expressed gratitude to Transport Secretary Arthur Tugade for his fast action in providing modes of transport for LSIs.
I'd like to thank everybody sa itong ating gobyerno. The gobyerno that's really the cabinet members working for the prompt response that you undertook to alleviate the plight of the stranded Filipinos. Nakakaawa talaga.
Tugade earlier assured that waiting passengers at the Ninoy Aquino International Airport would be taken care of and given regular food supply during their stay there. Meanwhile, Interior Secretary Eduardo Año said more than 4,000 LSIs have been assisted through the government's Hatid Tulong program. More than 5,000 LSIs were sent home either by plane or ship, and only about 1,400 LSIs who continue to receive food and other forms of assistance from the government are left in Metro Manila. Still to come, the Supreme Court asks Malacanang to comment on petitions to junk the anti-terror law. Government troops overrun a hideout of the Dawla Islamia terror group in Lana del Sur. More on these when the PNA Newsroom continues.
Sa matinding laban natin sa Coronavirus Disease 2019, sugpuin din natin ang pagkalat ng fake news. Huwag magbahagi ng impormasyon na hindi tiyak ang pinagmulan. I-check mabuti ang source ng balita. Kumuha lamang ng impormasyon mula sa mga official channel ng Department of Health. Huwag magpadala sa maling balita, basta't sama-sama at laging handa. Kaya natin to. Isang paalala mula sa DOH, PCOO, KBP at ng himpilang ito. Alamin ang tamang paraan ng pag-ubo upang mapigilan ang paglaganap ng Coronavirus Disease 2019. Ugaliing magdala ng panyo o tissue. Kung uubo o babahing, takpan ang buong ilong at bibig gamit ang panyo o tissue. Kung walang dalang panyo o tissue, maaaring gamitin ang braso na pantakip. Kung nakararamdam na kailangan umubo o bumahing, agad na dumistansya sa mga tao sa paligid. Huwag dumura kung saan-saan, gumamit ng tissue at itapon sa basurahan. Ugaliin ang paghuhugas ng kamay at paggamit ng alcohol o hand sanitizer upang mamatay ang mikrobyo. Basta't sama-sama at laging handa, kaya natin to. Isang paalala mula sa DOH, PCOO, KBP at ng himpilang ito.
You're still watching the PNA Newsroom. The government is committed to provide more testing laboratories and other facilities for the benefit of the Filipinos. Janice Cave tells us about these ongoing projects in the provinces.
In Iloilo City, another COVID-19 testing laboratory will soon open, which can accommodate a maximum of 800 tests per day. Mayor Jerry Treñas said the testing laboratory at the Qualimed Hospital is very timely because there is a need for immediate results, especially for those who have close contacts. The hospital's laboratory will be the second in the city after the Western Visayas Medical Center's subnational laboratory started operating last March 23. In Baguio City, a 435 million peso multi-level youth convergence and multi-purpose gym will be built at the Baguio Athletic Bowl by October. The soon-to-rise structure will be situated between the tartan track and the swimming pool. It will have the youth center on the ground floor, and the remaining 3 floors will house courts that could be used for volleyball and other indoor sports, including bowling lanes. In Bicol Region, round-the-clock construction work is set to start at the Bicol International Airport to meet its target completion date within the year. The feasibility study of the Bicol International Airport originally started in 1996, and the notice to proceed was issued in July 2009. It was only during the Duterte administration that the construction of landside facilities began. The completion rate of the Bicol International Airport now stands at 66.61%. It features the iconic Mayon volcano as its magnificent backdrop and is expected to boost air traffic and tourist arrivals in Albay. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Janice Cave.
The Supreme Court on Tuesday asked the Executive Department to comment on the petitions questioning the legality of Republic Act 11479 or the Anti-Terrorism Act of 2020. SC spokesman Brian Keith Hosaka said the Supreme Court ordered the consolidation of the 4 petitions and required the respondents to file their respective comments and application for temporary restraining order within a period of 10 calendar days from notice. The suits were originally filed by lawyer Howard Calleja, Albay Representative Edsel Lagman, lawyer Melencio Santamaria, and Bayan Muna Party List Representative Carlos Zarate. The petitioners assailed issues on powers of the Anti-Terrorism Council, provisions on the forms of speech and expression, surveillance, and detention. President Duterte allayed fears about the newly signed anti-terrorism law, saying law-abiding citizens have nothing to fear because it will only be used to defend the nation from terrorism. He said the law targets terrorists, especially those who carry out bomb attacks in public.
For the law-abiding citizen of this country, I am addressing you with all sincerity. Huwag ho kayong matakot kung hindi ka terorista. Kung hindi ka naman sisirain mo ang gobyerno, pasabugin mo ang simbahan, pasabugin mo yung public utilities, pasabugin mo yung, just to derail para matumba na tuloy ang bayan.
Malacanang urges House lawmakers to vote on ABS-CBN's new legislative franchise based on their conscience. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque issued the statement on Tuesday as he maintained that President Rodrigo Duterte's stance on ABS-CBN's franchise renewal remains neutral. Roque reiterated that the palace would let Congress exercise its independence when it comes to making a decision on ABS-CBN's fate. The House hearings on ABS-CBN's franchise focused on the citizenship of Chairman Emeritus Eugenio Lopez III, the network's issuance of Philippine depository receipts, and the supposed labor and tax violations committed by the media firm. On Monday, the Philippine Council of Evangelical Churches urged Duterte to support the franchise renewal of ABS-CBN. Roque said the appeal should be directed to lawmakers because they will be the ones to primarily decide on ABS-CBN's fate before Duterte can give final verdict on the franchise bill. The city government of Angeles, Pampanga will provide 55,000 tablets to 53 public schools throughout the city for the use of students. Mayor Carmelo Lasatin Jr. said on Tuesday the tablets are intended for underprivileged public school students from grades 4 to 12 to ensure that no one is left behind amid the COVID-19 pandemic. There are 40 public elementary schools and 13 public high schools in the city. Irish Calaguas, the mayor's chief advisor and tactician, clarified that the tablets will not be doled out to the students. She said Lasatin wants the tablets to be used exclusively for educational purposes. The mayor earlier said the city government would promote digital education to students in public schools. DepEd Secretary Leonor Briones had announced that the opening of classes would be on August 24. Government troops overran a hideout of the Islamic State-inspired Dawla Islamiyah following a clash in the hinterlands of Lana del Sur. The Army's 55th Infantry Battalion said the firefight happened Monday in Barangay Tamparong, Madalum Town. Civilians had tipped off government troops about the presence of Dawla Islamiyah terrorists recruiting and forcing them to procure food items. A soldier was killed as he accidentally tripped on an improvised explosive device fashioned out as a landmine left by the terrorists when they fled. The Army's 103rd Infantry Brigade assured they would continue fighting until Lana del Sur is declared terrorist-free. For its part, the 1st Infantry Division vowed to sustain the military operations against the Dawla Islamiyah in its area of responsibility. In our business news, the manufacturing sector is showing signs of recovery in May 2020 and is expected to continue its rebound as the Philippine economy gradually reopens. The recovery is seen in the increase in capacity utilization as reported Tuesday by the Philippine Statistics Authority. Capacity utilization increased to 73.4% in May compared to 71.2% in April, mostly due to an increase in food and beverage manufacturing. Acting Socio-Economic Planning Secretary Carl Kendrick Chua said they are seeing some signs of a resurgence despite low production and sales and subdued demand. Chua said the government will facilitate and support firms that will redirect production to essential goods and intermediate inputs, particularly the health and medical needs amid the COVID-19 pandemic. Meanwhile, the country's inflation rate remains manageable despite an uptick to a 3-month high last June. Inflation accelerated to 2.5% from 2.1% last May, primarily due to a faster annual rise in the transport index, specifically of tricycle fares. Duque said inflation last June is within the central bank's 1.9% to 2.7% forecast for the month. Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas Governor Benjamin Duque said this is consistent with the assessment that inflation pressures remain limited due largely to the adverse impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on the economy. Duque said domestic recovery is seen to be U-shaped on a quarterly basis, with output likely to contract further in the remaining quarters of 2020. Up next, the Joint Task Force COVID Shield suspends travel authority for locally stranded individuals bound for 3 provinces in Mindanao. And Bolinao in Pangasinan reopens its tourist spots to Region 1 residents under quarantine. The PNA Newsroom returns after these reminders.
Pangalagaan ng sarili laban sa Coronavirus Disease 2019. Hanggat maaari, umiwas sa mataong lugar. Iwasang hawakan ang ilong at bibig, maging malinis sa katawan at ugaliin ang wastong paghuhugas ng kamay. Takpan ang ilong at bibig kung uubo o babahing. Umiwas sa mga taong nagpapakita ng sintomas ng coronavirus disease gaya ng lagnat, ubo at sipon. Magsuot ng face mask kung kinakailangan. Basta't sama-sama at laging handa. Kaya natin to. Isang paalala mula sa DOH, PCOO, KBP at ng himpilang ito. Tandaan ang tamang paraan ng paghuhugas at paglilinis ng kamay upang makaiwas sa iba't ibang karamdaman. Basain ng tubig ang mga kamay at sabunin. Unang sabunin ang mga palad at ang likod ng mga kamay. Kuskusin na maigi ang pagitan ng mga daliri at maging ang mga kuko. Isunod ang pagitan ng mga hinlalaki at kuskusin ng paikot ang mga dulo ng mga daliri sa magkabilang palad. Banlawang mabuti ang mga kamay sa malinis na tubig at patuyuin ang mga kamay gamit ang single-use towel o air dryer. Basta't sama-sama at laging handa, kaya natin to! Isang paalala mula sa DOH, PCOO, KBP at ng himpilang ito.
Lana del Sur's Interagency Task Force on COVID-19 has temporarily stopped receiving locally stranded individuals and repatriated overseas Filipinos from July 1 until July 15. This following the sudden surge of COVID-19 positive cases when LSIs and ROF started coming home last month through the government's Hatid Probinsya initiative. Lana del Sur IATF spokesperson Zia Alonto Adyong said the request was prompted by the province's limited number of quarantine facilities versus the volume of returnees coming in. Adyong said the receiving local government units and the national IATF should determine how many returnees can be accommodated, taking into account the healthcare capacity of the LGUs. The province has already accepted some 4,604 returning residents when ports reopened on June 3 following the lifting of the imposed restrictions on local travels. Meanwhile, the issuance of travel authority for all LSIs bound for the provinces of Basilan, Lana del Sur, and Camiguin has been suspended for now. Joint Task Force COVID Shield Commander Lieutenant General Guillermo Eleazar said the suspension was based on the decision of Defense Secretary and National Task Force Against COVID-19 Chair Delphine Lorenzana. Lorenzana earlier approved the request of Basilan Governor Hataman Jim Saliman, Lanao del Sur Governor Mamintal Alonto Adyong Jr., and Camiguin Governor Jordin Jesus Romualdo to suspend the return of LSIs to their provinces. The issuance of travel authority remains suspended for LSIs bound to Western Visayas and Eastern Visayas. Philippine Permanent Representative to the United Nations Ambassador Evan Garcia on Monday conveyed the country's full support for the work of the UN experts in combating the recruitment of child soldiers. Garcia urged experts to continue paying close attention to the modus operandi through which recruitment is carried out in different settings. In the 44th UN Human Rights Council session, Garcia cited the recruitment of children by the Communist Party of the Philippine New People's Army National Democratic Front. He said the CPP, NPA, NDF exploited the cover of charitable schools and organizations, as well as its self-proclamation as a human rights defender, to train child combatants and evade responsibility for it. Garcia also flagged the employment by armed non-state actors or terrorist organizations of insidious means to recruit child combatants. In our foreign news, the United Nations warns that further outbreaks will emerge unless governments take active measures to prevent other zoonotic diseases from crossing into the human population. A UN report identified 7 trends driving the increasing emergence of zoonotic diseases which are passed to humans from animals. Among the trends are increased demand for animal protein, intense and unsustainable farming, exploitation of wildlife, and the climate crisis. COVID-19, Ebola, MERS, West Nile and Rift Valley fever are caused by viruses that have jumped from animal hosts to the human population. Every year, some 2 million people, mostly in low and middle income countries, die from neglected zoonotic diseases. UNEP Environment Program Executive Director Inger Anderson said that to prevent future outbreaks, the world must become much more deliberate about protecting the environment. In sports, the Samahang Basketball ng Pilipinas is waiting for a copy of the approved guidelines for the resumption of basketball team practices at the professional level. Executive Director Sunny Barrios said on Tuesday that such protocols are needed to map out its next plan of action. SBP Operations Director Butch Antonio said they need the protocols from the Games and Amusement Board so that Gilas Pilipinas 3x3 can resume its training for the next year's FIBA 3x3 Olympic qualifying tournament. On Friday, the Interagency Task Force for the Management of Emerging Infectious Diseases approved the resumption of practices in professional basketball. The SBP wants to see the approved protocols so that it can make a move regarding the situation of the non-sanctioned Maharlika Pilipinas Basketball League and the National Basketball League. Bolinao, Pangasinan is reopening its tourist spots on July 15 to residents of Ilocos region under Modified General Community Quarantine or MGCQ. Travelers entering Bolinao must be 21 to 59 years of age. Visitors must submit a registration form provided by hotels or inns for overnight stays or a registration form care of the Bolinao Tourism Office for day visits and walk-in guests. They must also submit health clearance, duly accomplished health declaration form, travel authority, and valid identification cards. Local residents will only need to show valid identification or any proof of residency when entering tourist spots. Strict implementation of no face mask, no entry policy will be applied to all guests at all times. Smoking and drinking of alcoholic beverages are also strictly prohibited. Each guest will be scanned for a temperature check, and the LGU will also provide isolation units for symptomatic guests. Bolinao's tourist attractions are the Patara White Sand Beach, Bolinao Falls, and Cape Bolinao Lighthouse, among others. Let's take another look at today's biggest stories. Malacanang says it is not alarmed by the sudden increase in confirmed COVID-19 cases in the Philippines. President Duterte thanks the members of the cabinet for their prompt response in assisting locally stranded individuals. The Supreme Court asks Malacanang to comment on petitions to junk the anti-terror law. And Bolinao in Pangasinan reopens its tourist spots to Region 1 residents under quarantine. Thank you for watching another episode of the PNA Newsroom. To check out more news content, check our webpage or head onto the Philippine News Agency's Facebook and Twitter accounts. For more stories about the government and how it serves Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. We are shown on the pages of the PCOO and its attached agencies. Also watch us on television on PTV4 and IBC13. And that's your daily dose of the biggest stories that you need to know. From the PNA Newsroom, I am William Theo. Good day, stay safe, everyone.